Okay, last session we discussed all the basic concept of working with TypeScript and all. So you will use some more options and understand a few more things while working with Angular now. So from today, we are going to start working with Angular. So we are going to start working with Angular now. So the basics, what is Angular and what is difference between Angular JS and Angular, all these we discussed in the introduction itself. In the introduction, I given you an overview about what is problem with JavaScript jQuery. After that, what is Angular JS and what is Angular. Now we can start working with Angular, understanding its architecture. So working with it. So technically, if anyone asks what is Angular, so we should say that Angular is an open source cross-platform developers platform. Angular is an open source cross-platform developers platform actually. So generally when anyone asks, many people can tell you that Angular is a framework. Actually, Angular is having framework. It is not just only framework, it is more than framework. That is the reason better to say Angular as a developer's platform. Generally, what do you mean by developer's platform? Developer's platform means, what do you think? What is a developer's platform? What do you think about developer's platform? Any idea about developer's platform? Anyone else? What is meant by developers platform? Okay. Complete infrastructure, set of development tools. Good. Okay. Anything else? Okay. Actually, technically, a developer's platform means a developer's platform provides provides end-to-end solution. Already we discussed that in introduction, Balakrishna, differences between Angular, JS, Angular, and I told you React. Right? React is only deals with view manipulation. Angular deals with model view controller, MVC architecture. Right? So better you can understand about that. So if you are aware of Angular completely, then I will tell you differences of them. Okay. Already we discussed in the introduction. Right. So developers platform provides end-to-end solution, end-to-end solution, end-to-end solution from building, end-to-end solution for building an application, building, debugging an application, testing application, and deploying. That means it provides language, framework, tools for end-to-end development, So it provides language, it provides framework, it provides tools for end-to-end development. Actually, to build an end-to-end application, here end-to-end means front-end end-to-end. Front-end end-to-end means here we are talking about from building to publishing, several tools are required. So all the tools are provided by Angular. That means for building, you need a language. Angular supports a language, TypeScript. For handling the control of application flow, you need a framework like MVC, MVVM. Angular supports those frameworks. For testing, you need a framework like Jasmine, Karma, Protractor. Angular provides a framework for testing. For deployment, so you need certain tools. Angular provides those tools and configurations for deployment. That means if a technology is providing you end-to-end solution from building to testing and deploying application, then it is better called as a developer's platform. So Angular, if anyone says is a framework, it's okay. Angular is a framework, but not just only framework. It is more than a framework. It provides a platform for developers. That is the official point you need to know about Angular. So it provides language like TypeScript. So it provides frameworks, it supports framework. So many frameworks are there like MVC, MVVM, Cordova. So supports the frameworks like NativeScript, Ionic. All these frameworks are supported. And Angular supports testing frameworks like Jasmine, Karma. So Protractor like this. And it is inbuilt. It is provided inbuilt with all these actually. Inbuilt supports them. So it provides several tools for deployment and all. So it's a very big platform. That means it provides several predefined components. That means it is even having a template library like materials. So animations. So many are there. That means it is not just a simple framework, it is more than a framework. That is the reason officially the website angular.io, this is official Angular website. You will see the word that one framework, mobile and desktop. And when you go into that starting, now you can see that they say that Angular is an application design framework and development platform. It is a development platform. It is a application design framework and also development platform. So that means for single page applications, for progressive web applications, whatever the tools you need, it will provide everything for you. So it is not just having a framework, it has several others also. That means these tools and languages are used for building cross platform, so mobile and web applications. So it is it is suitable for even single page and progressive web applications. It provides all the environment for us, or the environment for us. First point, you should know, many people, that RxJS is a JavaScript library. It is a JavaScript library. Don't put it as a part of Angular. Yeah. Because many people don't know about all these, and just they put everything into this Angular concept. RxJS is a JavaScript library, just like jQuery library. RxJS is also a JavaScript library. Yes. So actually, it is used everywhere, not only in Angular. Wherever you need asynchronous calls, we can use this library. We have so many libraries actually. We have jQuery library, JQLite library, RxJS library. So many are there. So many libraries are there. Every library is JavaScript library actually. So for different reasons, these libraries are used. For different reasons, these libraries are used. So you can even use, like, you will hear about NGRX. So many are there, depending on the situation and all. Yes, it is used for handling asynchronous and all we have. So Angular has certain concepts to handle, and others are used inside it. So depending on requirement, because many people are not aware of such concepts, because they don't have a complete idea of client side libraries and frameworks. That's the reason it is very common that everyone thinks like RxJS is a part of Angular, because it uses RxJS in various occasions. You will learn here how to use RxJS. You will learn here, but don't make it as a part of AngularJS. So it is general JavaScript library. You will learn here also how to use RxJS. We will see that, right? So according to the situation and requirement. So many tools are provided by Angular for developers. So it's not just one language. It's not one language. Now, what are the key features of actually Angular? So what are the major features of Angular? The key important features of Angular. So when compared to AngularJS, I explained already what is AngularJS. So what are the key factors of Angular? So key features of Angular. So what are the key features of Angular? So the first important feature is, so you can develop across all platforms. So actually, AngularJS, it is Angular is open source, and it uses Cordova, Ionic, NativeScript. So to develop cross-platform mobile applications. platform mobile applications, cross platform mobile applications. So that means application can run on any device. That is one of the key feature here is across all platforms it is available. So that means you can develop applications for web, you can develop applications for distributed. I told you distributed applications. So we can develop for native mobile, and we can even develop for native desktop also. So you can even develop desktop native applications, mobile native applications, distributed applications, web applications. So actually, Cordova, Ionic, native scripts, you can see that Cordova. So this is Apache Cordova. So this is used by Angular, which allows you to build mobile apps with HTML, CSS, and JavaScript. These are all very old frameworks. Only the point is now people are coming to know about them, right? So that is general because now the situation demands. That's the reason they have to learn about all this. All are very new. Native mobile means already I told you mobile apps. You know the difference between distributed applications and mobile applications. Huh? On your mobile you have Facebook, so or YouTube or WhatsApp. It is not called as a mobile app, it is called as a distributed app. Everyone know it, na? It is called as a distributed application. Am I right? Native mobile applications means like contacts, phone books, right? Gallery, some media player. All such things are mobile native applications. Calendar, calculator, right? Those are all mobile native applications. Desktop native applications means so which can be installed on your operating system. From the desktop environment they can work. For example, you see in this you have an application, some Netflix we have. This is a desktop native application. I have a Netflix here, desktop native application, right? These are all general things. That means distributed desktop native applications, mobile applications. So these are all general various types of applications. Actually, you cannot start into web development without knowing all this. These are all the general basics of web. What is web? What is distributed? What is desktop applications? What are mobile applications? You even know about artificial intelligence applications, IoT applications, several types of applications are there. Angular provides a better support for this. You can see this is Cordova. You have like Ionic native script. This is native script. This is native script. You can create native iOS and Android applications with JavaScript. So it open source framework for building native mobile apps with Angular. That means native mobile apps means so which can run on this Android based, on iOS based, Windows based applications. So that means they are designed specially to run on those operating systems. That is all native mobile applications. That is general software type applications. So that is one of the great feature. So that is one of the great feature. That is right. So you can develop across all platforms. How Angular can do all this because of its internal frameworks it supports. So like Cordova, native script, and all. Due to that, it becomes cross-platform, right? You will learn all the doubts. I will clarify towards the end. We will talk. Keep note about all your doubts. We will talk towards the end about them. Right? Yeah. That is one option. So that is developing across all platforms. Second important feature of Angular is its speed and performance. Speed and performance. Actually, one of the ability of Angular, it is modular in approach. It is modular in approach. So that means it will not use legacy library. It uses asynchronous techniques. It uses all asynchronous techniques. It uses all. It will not use legacy library. It will use an modular approach. I will tell you. All right. I will tell you what these are. Distributed applications. That means you have a server application, you have a client application. Client application is connected to server application. We share information between server and client application. Understood? Right? Distributed applications means you will have a client application and a server application. Information will be shared between these two applications. Those are distributed applications. Don't think that serverless applications. Serverless applications are mobile native applications. Okay. Right. So what is the point about speed, performance, how it works? What is this modular approach? Now, very recently, generally, you have so many new concepts also, which you will learn about it. Some new concepts also. Right. So modular approach means, I will tell you what is modular approach. Right. Actually, the point here is modular approach. Modular means part by part. So the major advantage about this is, generally when we are developing an application, suppose we have a library. So this library has a lot of functionalities. That means function 1, function 2, function 3. So many functionalities are there. So many functionalities are configured here. So here the point is, when you are developing an application. So in the application currently I designed something which requires only function 1. That means this component is using only function 1. But this function 1 is present in this library, and you have to import this library into your application. That means all the functions are imported into your application, but you are using currently only function 1. This is called as legacy. This is called as legacy. Don't you think this will be a burden for application? What do you say? Don't you think it is a burden for application? Yes, right. That means, now tell me how it is not a burden for application. Our expert Ankit will tell about it. Can you tell me, Ankit? I am unmuting you. Can you tell me how it is not a burden? Anything else you have observed here? Other people also very interested to listen you. Ankit Gupta. Other people are sending a message that we want to listen him. What you want to tell? No, you don't want to speak. It's okay. It's okay. Fine. Right. So here, here the point is obviously general common. It's a very common thing. You have 10 functionalities. You have 10 functionalities. Out of that, you are using only one functionality in your application. And if you are using only one functionality in application, so why you are loading all the library? It will be obviously heavy. Any general person can think about it. Even you are not a programmer also, you can tell that it is a problem, right? That means why you are loading everything when you need to use only specific. That is general. So for example, suppose in a simple way, for suppose we have two CSS files. That means suppose I have a.css and I have b.css. And in the a.css, we have some text effects. And we have b.cs, we have background effects. Now, important is I am developing an application. When I'm developing an application, and in this application, I am currently using text effects. Don't you think linking these two files will be a problem? Will be burden? That's a very common sense, general thing. That means you don't need that unnecessarily, right? That means you are increasing the burden on the application. That means use only what is required for that situation. Use only what is required for that situation. Technically, that means application specific framework. That means for that situation, so you need only this function related concepts are loaded, means that function related specific framework is loaded here. So that means at that moment what it needs, only that library will be loaded into application. Remember, all your technologies are now using this modular approach. So I think your Java, .NET, PHP, everyone is using this modular approach. Now earlier they have to use a lot of legacy libraries. Now every technology is implementing this modular approach, not only one technology. Every technology is using this modular approach now. So even your Java, .NET, PHP, all these are using this modular approach. They are working with the modular approach. So that means what is the specialty here is, the specialty here is application specific framework. Application specific framework will be there. So framework, application specific framework. That means what the application needs for that situation, only that is loaded. That is actually the architectural background of Angular also. I will show you Angular architecture. That is the architectural background of Angular, how it works. It will not use legacy type means loading everything. It will become heavy on application. That is the reason actually angular AngularJS uses legacy, and Angular uses modular. So that's the reason Angular is 10x faster than AngularJS. This is according to Google team, according to the Google Angular team, when they have observed this modular approach and compared with the previous AngularJS, they observed that it is 10 times faster than AngularJS. It is more better in performance. It is more lightweight. That means here application can even reach devices with low bandwidth devices with low bandwidth. So no need of loading entire library for that application. Only that specific, what is needed for them, only that specific will be added to that application. That is what makes Angular to perform more better. And several new features are there, several more advanced features are there. We will discuss about that. Actually, this one more important here is one of the key feature is now very recently Angular 9 and higher versions, Angular 9 and above are using AOT compiler. They are using an AOT compiler. We generally call it as ahead of time compiler, AOT compiler. So these earlier they have to use earlier they have to use Angular uses JIT compiler, which is called as just-in-time compiler. It uses a JIT compiler. Now it is using ahead of time AOT compiler. And very important is there are two techniques are there. What is difference between these two is JIT compiler. What it does is JIT compiler, because this is very much asked in interviews. In every Angular interview these days, you will find this question: what is AOT compiler? What is the concept of AOT compiler? Actually, JIT compiler, what JIT compiler will do is, usually JIT compiler will compile your code after the page is loaded into browser. Means after the page is loaded into browser, you saw the hierarchy. I told you how library works, how framework works. I told you after the page is loaded into browser, library is loaded into browser. After library is loaded into browser, JIT compiler will compile the library. So that means the compilation entirely happens. Yeah, it translates into the native code on which browser it is executing. Good. It translates into the native code. So on which browser it is executing. Yeah, that's very good, right? We will detailedly learn when we start working with that. I will tell you. So that means, so it will take more time to render. It will take more more time to render, more time to render. It will take more time to render. It generally takes more time to render because it is compiling in the browser, compiling in the browser. Now AOT compiler is AOT compiler, the ability of this AOT compiler. So this is the JIT compiler. Let's keep this in a point wise. Okay. And AOT compiler. So the specialty of this AOT compiler is, so it converts, generally it converts your Angular HTML. Angular will have a HTML and the TypeScript code into efficient JavaScript code during the building phase only, during building phase. That means before browser downloads and runs that code. That is the ability. That means this improves the performance of an application. That means the code is ready, you can start using it. The code is ready, you can start using it, right? This provides faster rendering. This provides faster rendering. This provides the faster rendering. That means it is faster rendering. Now very fewer asynchronous requests. What is asynchronous requests? I will tell you. So that means it will be smaller Angular framework download size will be there. So that means it will be fit. It will fit onto any device. And very important is so template errors are detected earlier. Actually, template errors are detected. Template errors means HTML errors. Any problem is there in the HTML, so it will detect in the browser after compilation is finished in the browser. But now AOT compiler can even detect the HTML errors also earlier. That's great. That is good, right? So Angular have remember here one important thing is Angular provides a choice for developer to choose between JIT and AOT compilers. Now don't think that AOT is a replacement, because in some environments we don't want the compilation to be happened earlier. We want at the load time, because in some situations majority of our logic will be in the view state. That means it will be in the UI level. If majority of our logic is in UI level, then AOT will not be great in that situation. JIT will be great, but AOT can handle before the compilation, before the rendering happens in the browser. That's the reason if your applications are mostly concentrating on UI much rather than the logical part of programming, so compiling, debugging and all, then you can go with JIT compiler. If it is mostly handling at the logic part, is more interactions are there, then better go with AOT. Obviously these days now majority of inbuilt, so we have AOT compilers running. You can change AOT to JIT to AOT according to your application requirements. So majority of compilation and process, everything happens before browser downloads. And that is one great ability. Another important ability is Angular supports. So it supports differential loading. it is now supporting differential loading. Differential loading is very much important actually. Differential loading, I think you might have heard about general in JavaScript, or if you know JavaScript, you might have seen this approach actually. The point here is, suppose I will open a simple HTML page here. Let's write some JavaScript program here. See, now if you add some file demo.html, okay, I'm writing some JavaScript code. So here I have a script, yeah, and in that we have a function. We have a function f1, and it shows an alert, or say it prints document.write, right? So hello, so some message, and function is called. This is general JavaScript function, right? So now we are running this. We are running and accessing this. So we are printing that hello there, right? Now, traditionally, if you look at the code of a developer who is writing the logic, means who is the developer with vast experience, several times you will see that. In real world development process, several times you can see. So we write this JavaScript function in HTML comments. Actually, this is HTML comments. These are HTML comments. We write JavaScript functions in HTML comments. Have you ever seen this type of coding? Have you ever seen that type of coding? Right. So generally, when you have learned about JavaScript, so you should know this point. So because this you will not see practiced by the modern developers, but very experts in programming who are developing applications from several years, they have a habit of writing in this syntax. Why? Because when you are accessing a web page, when you are designing a web application, first you should know that your application will be used over very old version browsers also. So that means you should not expect that everyone uses an advanced browser, because for their business, for their requirements, and they have a machine, they have a PC from several years, more than 10 years, they are using a PC. And in that, they have their old Windows XP operating system. Even today, you can see several government offices still using Windows XP. Several people even today using Windows XP. Even people who are having computers with low memory, they still use Windows XP. You cannot ask them why you can't use Windows 10. Why? Because it needs more memory. It has more features, great, but it is needing more memory. I cannot update my machine with the memory. Then I will just go with the previous old version. Then what happens is, if your application is not reachable to that old versions, then you are losing that customer. We need to design an application in such a way so that it can even reach low bandwidth, low versions also. For example, you see generally when you are using Gmail, suddenly due to some internet connection issues, your speed of internet has slowed down. Then Gmail people will immediately alert you saying that it is taking longer. Do you want to switch to HTML version of Gmail? Have you seen that? They will say that, do you want to switch to HTML version of Gmail? Have you observed that? So I think many of you have gone through that. Yes. What happens in that HTML version? That means it is targeted towards low internet speed. It is targeted towards low internet speed. It will not have much interactions. Suppose I want to upload, yes, low bandwidth. If I want to upload any file, if you want to upload any file, generally in HTML, I have to click browse button, select the file, add the file, upload the file, attach. But if I am using interactive version, then I can drag and drop and attach the files. These type of facilities will come. The point here is old version browsers cannot understand the new features that you have written, new options you have written. That means actually you should know that our browsers, generally when you are using browsers, so we have legacy browsers. Legacy browser means they support HTML4, HTML4 and ES5, HTML4 and ES5. So these are legacy browsers. We have modern browser. We have modern browsers which support HTML5 and ES6 also, ES6 and above. These are called modern browsers. Now, do you know Angular? Angular can build a library dynamically, and load according to browser version. That's great. That means if it is a legacy browser, it will load legacy library. If it is a modern browser, it will load modern library. That means now compatibility issues will be reduced. This is what actually the concept of differential loading. And why you write in this quotes, do you know? JavaScript people have a habit of writing the code in this HTML comments, which means that I am targeting towards old version browsers. That means this code is legacy targeted. You can see that I run this here. Suppose hello, so HTML4, something like this. And you can see that. So you can see that this is still working fine. But I have written in HTML comments. So why you written JavaScript code in HTML comments? To tell the browser that so we are targeting towards the lower versions compatible, so that parser can understand this and can use it. It can translate into it. So that is the ability of so this HTML comments in script. So that is a general habit. If you have seen developers, means you have seen JavaScript tutorials, very old tutorials published 5 years, 10 years back, 15 years back. So JavaScript tutorials are published. You can see those old examples. You can observe that many examples they write all the code in this legacy type only, legacy type. So that is the basic approach. So that means why you have to write in this and why you have to write in a general way. So that is due to this legacy and modern browsers. And Angular supports differential loading. That means it can build the library dynamically according to the browser version, and it can target towards both legacy and modern browsers. That is great. That is one advantage. Another important so point about this is Angular supports architectural frameworks like MVC, MVP, and MVVM like architectural frameworks. So it supports client side, these architectural frameworks: model view controller, model view presenter, model view view model. You will learn about them once we start working with them. So these architectural frameworks. Now this is one key point here. That means model is for data, view for UI, controller is for logic. So MVC actually model view controller, and detail we will discuss about that. This is the point here. Observe, actually Angular can handle model So M is model. Model is representing the data. And V for view. So this is for UI. And C for controller. Controller, this is for application logic. Application logic. Observe carefully. Many people ask this general difference regularly. So the difference is here. I am searching here. I am searching here for React.js. React.js. This is React.js. And you see here, what is React.js? It is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. Understood? It is a JavaScript library for building user interfaces. Now, can you tell the differences between React and Angular now? Right? Obviously, you can easily handle this by yourself now. What do you understood by meaning this line, JavaScript library for building user interfaces? Can anyone tell about this? So what you understood by this point, that means it is mostly concentrating on which part? Only for view part. Am I right? UI. Am I right? So mostly concentrating on UI. And it is a JavaScript library. Am I right? JavaScript library. That means you will still have the issues of the JavaScript problems. Am I right? Yeah. So that means this is just as a JavaScript library. JavaScript library. React is a JavaScript library. And you know the abilities and you know the features of TypeScript. That means, remember, React has its own area. That means in applications where they don't need much of, so yeah. What is React Native, Ankit Gupta? Anything new? Reactive Native? You came across? Already I showed you native script, na? Native script. I already showed you that native script, iOS. Don't invent some new technology here now. Huh? Don't combine all these and make a hybrid technology now. Huh? Right. Right. So the point here is the main concentration of React will be about dealing with the user interfaces, building the user interfaces. Now, it itself tells that what it can do. So nothing much to tell about this. It can tell that what it can do. And every application may not be suitable for handling this now. That is the reason you cannot say that React is not good, Angular is not good. Nobody can say that. Why? Because it depends on completely that particular requirement of the application. I already told you several applications still use JavaScript jQuery only. It's not mandatory that they have to shift into all this, right? If it is still into the JavaScript based and you want to make the UI more effective, then you can go with React. If you want to migrate into this TypeScript based environment, strongly typed to handle your strongly typed languages in the background, like Java, .NET, and strongly typed languages in the background with the complete functionality of model view controllers, then you can go with Angular. It depends on the requirements. So these are all some important features of Angular. And this improves the performance and functionality. These are all the key features. Now you need to understand about how we can handle the Angular architecture. Angular architecture. So that means how Angular works. What is the basic architecture of Angular? And how do we set up environment for Angular so that we can start building application for Angular? The architecture of Angular, how it works, that we will see in Monday session, right? So Monday we can start practically working with Angular now. After understanding the architecture of Angular, you can understand the flow. Then we can start building application with Angular now. So Monday we will see that, right?